Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Darian Eshell. You can call me Nikki J. Um, so I was outside and something came across my mind, and I was like, okay, in the middle of, well, in the beginning of like my psychic break, spiritual attack, whatever the fuck happened to me, right? Um, I one of the voices that was all in my head was my ex boyfriend, right? So um in like 2016, like throughout 2016, I would say an old friend of mine, somebody that I considered uh myself to be really close with at the time. Um I think she was living with me at the time. Yeah, she was probably definitely living with me. She, she had a job, and she was at this job, and then she came home, and she was just talking to me about like this girl that she had met that uh essentially was kind of like falling in love with me through her talking about me to her. And I was like, um okay. And then like somehow, the girl talking about her family and her brother, whatever. At some point, they decided like they would hook me up with her brother. They wanted to hook me up with her brother, and I'm just like, I was like, no, I'm not really into nobody like trying to hook me up with nobody. Probably because I'm very particular. I don't really like nobody bringing nobody to me for real. Like I don't really think nobody gonna really do a good job, and so whatever. And they were both younger, and like for a minute they kept at it, and I was like, no, no, thank you. But then like he ended up in like 2017 in February, the beginning of February. I feel like it was around Valentine's Day or whatever that he reached out to me online and slid in my inbox, and we hit it off, and it was explosive. And it was crazy because like at that point in time, I actually had just like the time that he came in, I had just told like a bunch of the girls that I was about to start trying to date online or whatever. Like I was like, you know what? I'm gonna really give online dating a try. Like I've dipped my hand into it a couple times, like making a profile or do whatever. Like, but we can, and then I set up like a event. Like we could blah 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 blah. We can do it like this. But when he came in and the connection that was like I said, explosive, and he came in great, like moving effectively, efficiently, like everything was amazing and phenomenal, and he just was like moving it along quick, like the first one to say I love you, the first one talking about he wanted me to meet his family, all this stuff. And even before then, I was just like, well, I was the one that was kind of like, hey, I can like take it slow, like I can chill, because I already know once I get connected to somebody at some point, like I don't really got to play around. Like I know who I am. I know what I want. I know exactly what's going. Like I ain't really got time, and like I can be really cool with somebody. So I'm like, even whatever this is, like we can just be cool, take it slow or whatever. And then he was the one that was like, oh no, like blah blah blah. So he was the one that was like on it, and I was just kind of like following his lead, and I was like, all right. And everything that I had been asking for, like, and I always say, no matter what happens, in any relationship that I've been in, no matter what the dynamic is, whether it's a friendship, whatever relationship, that like I got something out of it. Like if it came across my path and I engaged or whatever, that even if it doesn't turn out how I expected or I wished, um, I still get something. Like I still got something out of it. So I usually just like I don't try to hold on to like a lot of resentment or regret or anything. I'll just usually try to release anything outside of it that wasn't beneficial for me. So like for the first few months, like he was boom, 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 like everything. Um, everything. And like I said, he initiated everything, and we were spending like all this time together, and he was always saying the right stuff, and it was just he was a great person. Like I always was like he had a beautiful heart, and then like and I introduced him to some of my people, and I don't really do that. Like I be real careful who I bring into my life, into my circle, right? Always have been. Just because, like, why wouldn't I be? I've been in the system. I nah, like I'm precious, and so I introduced him to like a friend couple at the time that I was really close with, and um we were doing stuff, but like and so let me rewind. So like when we met and we had like our first dates or whatever, I still went along with the event with the girls. So it was different, you know. We still went and did like the online setup type of deal, a little bit, and that was that was cool. So like I think like he was over and then the girls was coming over, or like the girls was over and then he came over. So he saw a couple of them in passing, um, and that was that. And then so so he started like acting different, like not answering the phone, um, us not like ghosting me, not hearing from him for like days at a time, essentially like at first, and then I would just like at first, I don't know, but at whatever point where it became like an issue for me, I was like, hey, I don't really understand what's going on. Like, I don't appreciate it either. So I don't appreciate it. Like, this not what we was doing. So what is it now? And whatever he was saying, whatever his excuses is, whatever. I'm like, all right, like, whatever. Like, so I dealt with some stuff for a minute, trying to figure it out, and then he was saying that he was going through his own, mental stuff and life stuff, and then stuff was just getting like unnecessarily complicated. Um, his communication was trash, and the more I seemed like I was trying to communicate certain stuff with him, he would listen and show up in the moment for a couple times, and then like go right back to what he had been doing, and like the whole time I'm trying to figure out like, okay, so this dude done brought me in his family circle. He done brought me into his world. He done did all this, did all this, made all these promises, all this. Like, you exactly what I prayed for, I asked for, I recognize, like, blah, blah, blah. And then it had got to the point where, like, he wanted to marry me. Um, I'm getting all this stuff, right? Like, all these things that he's planning, he's saying, and, like, okay, this is what it is. So it's a flame, it's a match. And then so like I'm trying to catch up in my mind what the hell is happening, like what happened with the disconnect. I'm like, I don't really know. Like whatever we was doing, you kind of like doing something different. And all right, like this, we moving into another phase of this relationship. So let me another phase of you showing me another side of you. So let me see like how I feel about it. Let me go on with it. And so I've been in caregiving or in customer. I've always taken care of people to some extent or another. So in the house with him, his sister, his mom, his grandmother, his mother's husband. that they all lived in the house. And apparently, like, from what I was told, him, his mom, his sister had got a place together so that his mom would be able to have help or whatever while she took care of their grandmother, because she had Alzheimer's and stuff like that. So me just being over and everything, I was naturally doing what I do, which is caregiving. I've cared for elderly forever. So like, um I kind of like created my own relationship with his grandmother, even though, like I said, she was in advanced stages of Alzheimer's, and I would help his mom with his grandmother, because I know what it's like when you have family and you can't, like, and you got a elderly parent, and whether the help is there as you need it or not, especially when they live with you. A lot of siblings, a lot of family don't ever really kick in and push in our community to properly help the primary caretaker of like the elderly and their family. And so if I'm over there, and it was times that he wouldn't even be at home and I would be over there, because me and his mom had developed our own relationship. Um, and his sister had a boyfriend, so she was like in and out. And then like his younger brother had, like, his kids was always over there. His three kids, was it three or four? Three kids. So I would be kind of like doing the family thing with them. I would, to whatever extent, like, I would help with the grandmother to give his mom a break and help as much as she was comfortable with, and things like that, right? And so I was like, okay, he going through a lot of transitions himself with everything that's going on, like with the family. And then he would be telling me how he felt about like losing his grandma, um, and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. And then like whatever, all of a sudden, like, it was like money was a big deal. But I'm like, it really don't have to be at this point. Like, if if you spending money for us going out all the time is over your budget right now, you need to take a moment to get some shit together. Like, I don't have a problem cooking, or we don't have to go out, like whatever it is that you dealing with or whatever. So it was just like all these things that I'm trying to figure out with him, like, because he just freaking changed the game up so quick. And he was working as a security guard at the Cavs or whatever. I mean, at the Gund Arena, and with the Cavs, like, he was working personally with like the Cavs players and stuff. So um there was nights where he would be at work and we'd be on the phone, as he was walking around, and all this other stuff. And at one point, like, he was able to rent the one of the practice courts or something, or he was able to get the one of the practice courts, and we was up there playing basketball and just whatever. For me, it was more for him and his family to like connect, and I was there, but I was like, hey, you should do that. And then we had like his nieces and nephews, his cousin, and I think his sister, his brother. It was a few of us, like, at the playing, like playing on the court, just playing. And so it was a good time. And then like it was like other stuff that would happen, and I'll just be like, I think I'm being like way too understanding for real. Like, for me as an individual, as a being, like, I think you pressing the luck. Like, I think that I'm being way more considerate to you than you are to me. I'm being considerate of like whatever you feeling about your mom, whatever you feeling about your grandma, whatever you feeling about your mental health, whatever you feeling about blah 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 blah. And whenever I get information and I ask you if it's a problem, you like, no. And then even me, I wasn't having sex at the time. I was still in my celibacy journey. I did like 7.5 years of celibacy for me, essentially. And like when I started it, I just said I wasn't gonna have sex until I had got I met my husband, so I got married. And I was telling him, like, from the very beginning, like, I know this is my journey, you just came in, and whatever you got going on, like, with your sexual journey is yours. Like, so let me know before you even decide that you want to commit or whatever it is. Because I was like, we don't really have to put no labels on it, we could just do whatever we doing. You don't have to really commit to me. I said that in the beginning, like, we don't really have to do that. We could just have fun. We could do what we doing. Like, whatever we doing is gonna be what we doing. And if it come down to like you ain't really sure if you want to not have sex, then like that's fine too. Like, I mean, if you can go without not having sex, then you could still be doing whatever you doing. And even if you decide you want to commit, like, what does that look like? We can figure that out. Like, I know what I'm doing, right? And like, if you coming over into here, then this is what I'm doing, and you get the right to figure out how that works for you. And because I'm kind of like extremely open minded, and I'm willing to be like, all right, like, what we do, like, what we gonna go with this, right? And he was just like, no, I don't need it, I'm good, blah 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 blah. So I'm like, all right. And then of course it was a couple times where he spent the night, where shit got hot and heavy, and then he gave me some head, and I'm like, okay, like, sweet. And then that was that. I think it happened like twice. So I was like, all right, fine, like, whatever. But I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, it was always like, I don't want to have intercourse for real. Like, that's my own thing to me. And then he was like, okay. And then I found out later, I was told like later that like it was a big deal for him that I wasn't having sex, or that I wasn't even like um giving him oral. And I'm like, well, that wasn't my issue. And then like, even like, it was like all kind of things that it felt like it was nitpicked about. Like, his family, his mom was like real big on like women need to have their hair done, and I was real big on like my natural hair, and my hair is done. Like, the moment I get up, it's done. And nobody is going to make me feel bad about like how my hair look, like, period. A black woman, a white woman, a black man, like, nobody, because everybody always got a comment about like how black women's hair is supposed to look, especially when you natural. And it would be like certain comments made, and then like about like the nieces or whatever, like about their hair not being done by their mom or stuff like that. And I just always feel like, if there's something that you want to do, if you feel like, oh, this hairstyle would be cute, can I try this hairstyle on you? That's something different than like, oh, why your hair ain't done? Why it look like that, or whatever? And then with him talking about he wanted to marry me and start a family and everything, I'm like, okay, that's cool. And my child will not be subjected to like any of that. Like, I don't play that shit. Like, if she walking around with her afro, then she gonna be walking around with an afro and whatever. So we was just kind of like, we had those conversations. And so when he was going through his moment of like doing whatever, on the midst of like all these things that I introduced, because I introduced him to a lot of stuff, and he will always say that, like, damn, like, my mom cooked the same stuff every week. Like, this is kind of like, we got a schedule of food. Like, on Fridays is fish, on this is this, on this and this and whatever. And so, like, when he got introduced to me, of course, I wasn't eating meat already. I was already on my, technically, they call it a pescatarian diet, because I eat seafood every once in a while. Like, at that point, it's probably like twice or three times a year where I would eat like seafood, fish. And but for the most part, produce, like vegan, vegetarian, without the titles. Like, nowadays, I don't even go title. I'm just like, I eat whatever I want to eat, and my preferred diet is mostly vegan. But I don't call myself a vegan, because if I want some fish, I'll eat some fish. But like 95% of my diet, 95% of my diet is fresh produce. And I'm in like ancient grains, and I'm just real funny about what I eat. So it's gonna be like clean for like 90% of the time. And so him dealing with me, like, and us going out, like, I was introducing him to like all my favorite restaurants. So he changed his whole diet. Like, he stopped eating meat. Um, his physical appearance was changing. Like, he was talking about how much he was feeling better. Like, all this, like, he was so excited for everything that I was introducing him to, like Indian food. Cause we live in Cleveland, Ohio, and like, there is a very diverse restaurants around, depending if you in the right neighborhood, if you have access to the right neighborhood. Um, and so sometimes we would have to drive, because I've lived kind of like all over Cleveland. So sometimes we would have to drive, but it would just be a fun date. So introducing him to like various aspects of the city, neighboring cities or towns and stuff that he wasn't familiar with, various lifestyles and stuff. And even for his birthday that year, because he was also like into music production heavy, and I was always like trying to encourage that as well. So for his birthday, I had did him like a surprise party at one of our restaurants here called Frederick's. It's like a jazz soul food restaurant that I used to love going to. Like the vibe was like perfect. So I did that for him because he loved music, different types of music. Of course, being a producer, and then it was a surprise. I talked to his mom, so it was two parts for his birthday, and the big part was like on his actual birthday, or like after his birthday, was like the surprise party that I conferred with his mom with to get like some of his closest family and stuff. I just left that up to her to bring to the restaurant. And that day I had booked us like a couples massage. That was his first time having a massage. So I had booked us a couples massage and like did the surprise party, and like one of my girls was alive at the time, like the couple that we would double date with. She loved to like do parties and stuff, like event planning. So I told her exactly what I was looking for, like wanted, and like she took care of it, like picking stuff up for me because I ordered like the cupcakes and like the cake and like all that stuff for the party, and then like kind of like allow them to do whatever else. And then it was my job to like get them to the restaurant and stuff on time. So that was cool. Walking into the restaurant and watching him like be surprised about the whole family being there and like all of that. And then like on his actual birthday, I just did like a small thing at his mom's house with his grandma, mom, and his like nieces and nephews there, and his sister. I think his sister and her boyfriend was there, and so like I made like a lobster macaroni and cheese, a homemade ice cream cake. Cause I don't, cause I was it was vegan ice cream, so I did like my own homemade ice cream cake for the first time. What else did I do? Cause he likes lobster mac and cheese, so I did the lobster mac and cheese. I think I did like a what else did we have with it? I don't remember, but I did like a maybe asparagus or whatever it was that he was like loving. And I took everything over to his mom's house, and we all did that celebration, and so that was cool. That was on his birthday, and then like the surprise party and the um with the massage and everything was like a couple days later, or however it worked. Um, so that was that. So that was like kind of some of the stuff that the experience that I had with him, and introducing him to certain things, and then we had a couple incidents where he was like insecure because I do have like guy friends, and even if I have an ex, like my ex from a couple years later, I mean before, um, I had called him on his birthday, and he had like a whole issue, like, and I was like, we was in the car, and it was a big deal anyway, like, cause he was pissing me off anyway. And when the alert came in that like it was the birthday, I was like, oh okay, and I was like, whatever, and I just called right there, cause I was like, well, I could wait till later, or I could just call right now. And I was like, I'll just call right now, like it ain't no point. Like it felt like if I waited late, like I was being sneaky, and I'm always very clear that like any guy that I date, like that I got like guys that I'm cool with, and whatever issues you have with that, like that's yours to figure out or settle out yourself. Like if you hear me that I talk to them outside of you, then you know that like okay, like, and if I talk to them in front of you, like, and I would tell them like you can figure out what you want are more comfortable with. Like I go out with them, we spend time together, like all this other stuff, so you can kind of like let me know what you comfortable with, or you can figure it out, like we can converse about it. But this is my life, it was my life before you came in it, and like I don't believe in and dropping the life just because like I got introduced to like components of another life, right? No, like to me that a lot of people do that, and I feel like it's totally disrespectful. And like to me it just shows that like people really don't have value of other people and friendships and things like that. Like most people really don't know what it is, especially when it comes to the opposite sex. For me, when I see that so much, I'm like, oh okay, that just shows that you weren't really interested in that person as a friend. It was maybe just holding a space or something, I don't know. But like I said before, like so he was like dipping in and out, like being ghost and all this stuff, like doing all this stuff, and that I wasn't really feeling. And my biggest thing to him was like, hey, if you want to break up, like just say that. Like if you are not in a place where you can handle me with care for real, then you need to let me know, like, you want to break up, like, you don't want to do this, because I don't understand what I'm saying and expressing to you that you not understanding, and that isn't important enough to you how I'm trying to be important. Like, I'm trying to give you a care that you not giving to me. And then also me having like a relationship with his mom and a relationship with his sister was another factor probably for him or for whatever, because I'm getting information from like all these different places, and then like his mom is going through stuff in her marriage. And like, to me, I kind of felt like I was like her closest friend at the time, because she could talk to me without no judgment. Like, y'all know y'all have friends and certain family dynamics, and you know that like you might be the topic of conversation if whatever y'all doing to other people, like whatever y'all doing, you can assume that that's what's happening in other conversations. And that's not something that I work with. Like, I don't really do gossip, I don't really do talking about people, like that ain't really my thing, individually or collectively. Like, I just can find so many other things that's more important to me. And one of the things I used to talk with him all the time about was business, like from the beginning, because at that point in time in Cleveland, we were having like so many issues with our kids coming up missing. And I was like trying to figure out I had came up with this business idea for like transportation just for like for our kids. Cause I'm like, okay, over here, the busing is an issue. Like, I think like there was a lot of issues with like busing the kids, and then like parents not necessarily having the money to get their kid a Uber to school every day, and just like so many of our kids was coming up missing and stuff. So I was trying to figure out like ways that we can have like transportation to make sure that our kids get picked up like at a certain spot and then dropped off and whatever. So I was like working on that business idea, and it was another business idea that I was working when I was telling him about it, and he was like, oh, okay, like he wanted to be supportive, and then he wanted to help, and then like every time like he was tapping out some like before, and it's kind of cool because like I'm always thinking business. So, and I never really expect anybody to put in or help because that's not my experience. Um, so he said he was gonna help, and he was like, you know, we was working on some stuff, and but then like he didn't, and so that was like, it wasn't a big deal to me. I was kind of feeling like at one point, like, what is really going on? Like, you keep ghosting and you keep doing all of this, but you saying this, and when I ask you this, like, your words and your actions are not lining up, right? Like, that's not okay with me, and feeling like I'm being ignored. And then even I was like, so do you want to break up? Like, I'm not saying that I'm gonna wait for you, because I'm not. Yeah, I don't wait. I don't do no active waiting for anybody. Like, if life is happening, life is happening. But if we break up now, it'll be before like I resent you or you resent me, or like while we still in a good space for real, to where like we can probably come and re-explore this later if we get to a place where like our paths merge back again together. Um and he was all like, no, I don't want to break up. I don't want to break up, blah, blah, blah. And he had got a second job. And at some point, he had told me, like, having a second job was like he got a second job so he could pay for my engagement ring. And I had did, like, this vision board with us together and, like, all this stuff. Like, all this stuff. Because he, like, I got a second job because I want to get you an engagement ring and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, like, all right. And then so it's always, like, you saying this and then you doing this, and even like certain behaviors start changing. Like when we in the car, like now all of a sudden you talking on your phone instead of like having it on the Bluetooth speaker. And I ain't really about to follow nobody like that. Like a couple times when I was like on my own, all like just popping by and trying to like corner him to talk to me shit, like I was like, oh no, this is chaotic. Like, this ain't my life. Like, this is not what I do. And I don't really want a relationship like this. Like, I don't really want to be a part of no dynamic like this. And so it was more for myself to like get it together. Like, no, however you feeling, you gonna push through this. And I was also I want to say, very aware that I was being challenged with what love, quote unquote, actually is, right? Like, there were many times where I wanted to be like, oh, bump this. Like, I ain't doing this. Like, I ain't doing it. And I'm not going to check on them or nothing like that. Like, I'm going to just drop this too. And everything would be like pushing on me, pushing on me, pushing on me. Like, to go check on him. Like, no, go over there. Like, oh my gosh. Like, fighting against, like, what I wanted versus, like, instincts and, like, what I was doing based off of, like, his actions, and then, like, having to be very honorable to myself and stuff. And even when it was happening, I would be like battling myself, like, I don't want to go over there. And then it would be like, okay, I got to go over there. Like, so there was a point in time where I felt like as I was, like, the lesson of love was for me, and he was a part of the lesson. Like, he just was like, well, this is what you're here, you were brought into my life, and this is what you say is going and why it's happening. Like, how patient am I? How much do I really care about you? How much do I really love you? How much do I really honor this? How much would I really like, we're saying that we are, like, this is what we're doing. This is the future that we're building. Well, I don't believe in, like, starting something when you get to, like, the altar. Like, the quote unquote idea of marriage to me, like, begins, like, well, we're already in a relationship. Like, so we're just saying, like, this is the celebration that we're going to have with our friends and family. Okay, that's fine. Like, at whatever point in time, that's cool. And even at that point, I was like, you know what? At one point in time, I thought that I was supposed to have a real big wedding, because, like, that's what I was being told. Like, and then, like, over time, I was like, nah, I don't, though. Like, really, only the most important and valuable people really need to be there. I don't really have to, like, invite people just because I know them, especially when you think about, like, so many conversations that happen after people weddings, like, so many complaints about something, or, like, all the money and stuff that people be spending just for, like, other people, and, like, all the consideration that you put in for other people. And I was like, no, I'd rather it just be about me. Like, I just whether it be about me. Because I remember even at a point in time, like, my aunt was saying, like, oh, well, you'll have, like, guests that eat meat, so you have to have meat. And I'm like, nah, I'd rather not have to figure out what I can eat and partake in at my own event, like, ever. Like, I want to eat what I want to eat, and everything in here should be edible for me because it's mine. Like, oh, well, like that. Like, that's kind of like how I felt about certain things. So then, just, like, coming, like I said, so he was doing whatever, and it was like every step of the way, it was kind of like, for me, like, so what is this about for me? Like, what am I supposed to be learning? What are my lessons? Because I don't try to control nobody's narrative, nobody's anything. So by the time, so his birthday was in April. By the time my birthday came in June, we really wasn't messing around. Like, we really wasn't connecting. And so I celebrated, my own thing or whatever. Like, I didn't really understand what was going on. I think in May was, like, the last date that we had, where I took him to a boat show. Like, we went to a boat show, his first boat show, with, like, my friends that we would, the friends that I had that we would double date with. And he was just, like, really excited or whatever was going on. And then I had ended up going to Georgia that weekend with my girl at the time, and for an event. So we was, like, in Georgia for the weekend, and we had stopped and saw, like, one of my girls, like, they introduced themselves, like, one of my other girls at that time. And then that was, like, the last time that, like, I had actually, like, me and him had actually spent, like, some real time together, for real. Even though he kept telling me that everything was good, I'm like, no, it's really not. It's really not. It's really not. And you don't really want to give me what I'm asking. And I still was helping his mom with his grandma, like, like I still was kind of connected to the family. And then like later on to find out like his he was having his own things, like I didn't have enough money because I was doing my life insurance, trying to like really get on my feet with my life insurance. So like whatever influences that he had from the voices in his community around him that did not accept me or think I was good enough or was critiquing me or whatever that he couldn't really stand up to, or I don't really know, because I don't ever want to be in a relationship or be connected to any man or any being that will allow anybody or anything to like influence how they interact with me, how they respond to me, how they feel about me, and not be able to stand up for me. Like if you can be swayed or whatever based off of somebody else, then like you go over there with them. Like that's fine. It's like so much stuff coming to me, and for so long I was like trying to give him the like the benefit of the doubt, and then like his and every time I was like ready to cut the cord, like ready to just like be all the way done, it was always like, okay, I should be like a little bit more considerate. But even and then even if it wasn't about him, it was. And then like sometimes I felt like his mom was projecting some stuff on me through us. And even sometimes I was like, well, I don't know if she's trying to like tell me that he cheating on me, or if she is projecting some things because like there are some behaviors that she see, and she telling me that she going through some of the same stuff with her husband. So it was just like trying to make sure that I disentangled like my reality and my truth from like their stuff and everything else. Like if he is doing something, then like that's what he doing. Um and he not honorable. Like he not honorable. And like I gotta figure that out. And it was just like a lot. So when I was just outside and that came to me, I'm like, wow, why did that come to me? And what really stuck out was like when his grandmother died. I was at the house. I was at the house helping his mom at one point, and like at this time, she was like his grandmother was like bedridden, and if you don't know, like I'm a dream walker essentially. Like my dream, I'm an astral traveler. Like I'm always active in my dream state. Those are a couple of my ancestral spiritual gifts, and I have many, and lucid dreaming and things like that. So there were times where I would I vaguely recall, because I don't always recall like my dream states or any communications that happen in my dream state with people. And um I kind of recall like being in some dream states with like him and his grandma and whatever like that, because I remember him telling me that like he had wanted to take his a dream of his was to be able to take his grandmother to Africa because she wanted to go. And I felt like I had a dream about like me, him, and his grandma being in Africa and like allowing her to like go on a safari and stuff or whatever. And after she passed away, like so I was helping his mom. His grandmother was bedridden, so I was like over there and I was like talking to her. Like we had our own connection, like me and his grandma, and I would spend time just talking to her, whether she was bedridden or not, whether she could respond or not, because she would make noises and stuff, and like I can't remember if she actually was talking at one point in time, and then he would just be laughing. Like she actually responds to you extremely favorable, like that's different from my grandmother. And I was like, okay, because I didn't know her before then, so I was just like, oh, okay. And this particular day I was just talking to her and I was just like, how much pain are you in? Like, I feel like I was just connecting with her, like, energetically. And I'm like, how much, but I'm talking out loud. I'm like, how much pain are you in? And I'm like, and what's holding you here in this state? I'm like, I know that, like, oftentimes parents won't leave this realm. They'll, like, be stuck in these bodies, like some of the elder or whatever, because, like, you're scared or you're worried about your children, that they won't be able to be okay, or like whatever concerns, like whatever is having. And I was just saying, that like no matter what, they'll be okay. They'll have to be like, if you're in too much pain or if it's too much for you or whatever, just like you can let go. Like it should be okay to let go or whatever I was saying to her in that time. It was just me and her in the room, and I was, having a conversation. I remember like his mom, his uncle, and like whoever else was in the house. And so I just sat there next to her talking or whatever for a minute, and then I think like the next day or whatever, it wasn't too long after that I recall that his sister called and told me that her grandmother died, that the grandmother had transitioned. And I was like, okay. And like there was so much other stuff energetically happening. Like it felt like there was so much. And when I say energetically, I mean like mostly like in my sleep realms, where it felt like I was like under so much attack through like people in their family, but I didn't really know their family. Like it felt like there was so much being said, like about like if I overstepped my boundaries, but never like I never heard anything up up front, like here, but it just, I can't really explain it. And then so we had the funeral, they had the funeral and everything, and I debated going because I wasn't really dealing with him at the time, and then I kind of felt like it would be kind of like rude or disrespectful if I didn't, because I don't really do funerals for real. So I went, and I was mentioned in the obituary as like a special friend, which was the second time I got mentioned in somebody's obituary as a special friend. And I'm like, I really don't know what that means, but okay. Like, okay. And then, so I went. I don't really remember I can't recall the funeral or anything. Like I do have like my memory, as I've explained in multiple videos, like I have blackouts, I have like memory loss patches and like sometimes it's really really difficult for me to retain my memories, for me to tap into certain memories and frequencies of or past energies and stuff. And when it feel, and I think I'm like figuring out that if it's connected to too much dream space, like activity, underworld, spiritual activity, then like that could be a reason why once I disconnect from somebody. So I was like, so his grandma passed transition, and it was like so much stuff happening in my sleep state, and I wasn't dealing with him at this point, like at all, like not for no, I was dealing with his mom and his sister. Um, and so he was, and I had totally forgot that. I felt like I had a dream, like he was moving, but like he didn't tell me that he was moving or he had got a job or whatever. But in one of my dreams, like walking dreams, that lucid dreaming that I remember, like he was getting on a flight, like I'm like, so he was traveling. I feel like sometimes he used to travel with the Cavs. I'm like, he was traveling, but it didn't feel like it was with the Cavs. It almost felt like it was like with another um, NBA team or something. I don't know. He was going out to California. And during this time, like during this dream, during this lucid dreaming or connecting, like him and I had some exchange of words and communications, and he kind of said some things to me that was like extremely hurtful in that space. And it seemed like he was saying like I had no right to tell his grandmother like that she could transition. And I was like, what do you mean? I didn't tell her that she could do anything. Or I guess I did. Like, but why was it a big deal if she was ready to transition over, like, or whatever? And then it felt like he was saying like, it felt like I heard him say something like, I did want to marry you. I really did want to be with you. And like, I don't know if he said I'm too different or I ruined it, or like he was trying to throw something in my face. Like he was trying to hurt me on purpose at this place. I'm like, so you're moving out of the state I'm like, so are you moving, or is this like, are you moving, or you just like going on your job? I'm like, but whatever it is, you doing something, you making some drastic changes, and you wasn't going to say anything, like even us having like this connection. But even before that, there was a point in time where like his mom and his sister were talking to me that he had a woman, like that he was in another relationship, and he wanted them to meet her or whatever, and like all this other stuff, and they had went out the country and all this stuff. But he so it was like an open line for real, because he was never really honest with me about anything. So essentially he just ghosted me, made sure that like he was never at the house when I was there or anything. And so without while still trying to maintain or presume that like we were in a relationship. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is the second time, like technically this is the second relationship that I've been in. I'm in my 30s, and like this the second time this happened to this extent. I don't really understand this. Like, I don't understand how this works at all. I don't understand how y'all date. I don't understand how y'all maneuver or move one way and then like really start doing something different. And there was a point in time where I had a conversation with him, and I was like, do you have any female friends? Like, do you know how to hold like healthy female relationships, like outside of your family, outside of like having a girlfriend or anything? And he was like, no. Because he had came to me and was telling me like, I guess he had told his mom like what transpired with me calling my ex and saying happy birthday to him in front of him. And even like his mom was like, you can't do that, blah blah blah, like that's a man, and all this stuff like from her stuff. And I was like, I guess y'all can't, however y'all maneuver in life, but I can. I did it. And if he had an issue, he could have talked to me about it, and like whatever advice your mom gave you works for her. Like that works for her. If she feel like it was disrespectful because you feel like it was disrespectful, and whatever other stuff came along with it, like that's yours to figure out. And maybe if you had some female friends that you actually cherished, maybe we might be having like a whole bunch of different conversations and experiences with one another. Maybe you would know how to hold me a little bit more sacredly, because this ain't happening right now. I didn't use the word sacred at that point in time, and my words may have been a little different, but essentially that's what it was. So he bounced, um and that was after plenty of times where I was sending him messages asking him to communicate with me, or just like be honest, and just like not be ghosting and all this other stuff, and trying to hold him in such high fucking honor and space and be so gentle with his damn feelings and stuff, right? Like, and at the end of the day, of that relationship, my ass just went to therapy myself. And I told him, like, in my last message to him of farewell, I was like, hey, I don't really know what's going on. And, like, the reason I fell in love with you is because of your heart. Like, I see a golden heart. And I see, like, all the sacrifices you've made, all the things that you have been probably connected to based off of, like, everything that I'm gathering and everything. And I'm just saying that, like, and I see how you want to protect everybody, and how you want to care for your family, like everything that you telling me that you want to do, how you want to maneuver. Like, I'm like, okay, like, that's cool, we can do this, we can figure out this, we can figure out this, like. And I was like, you want to take care of like so many people, that's cool. And you need to probably take care of yourself first, like, and you need some therapy. I was like, you need some therapy, and here's a therapist, like, that I'm gonna recommend. And I said some other stuff, and even in my goodbye letter, my goodbye email, I sent him an email. Even in my goodbye email, like, it was very uplifting to me. Like, I ain't about to really sit up and dog you when I was in love with you and was willing to like create deeper connections with you and all that. Like, it ain't really no point in me just now because you moved in a way that was totally opposite of what anything that I was expecting or that you said or anything. Like, it doesn't mean that everything else no longer was relevant anymore. Like, I cannot just down you or your contribution to my life or your character or anything that I was loving and honored. So I'm gonna keep that same honor on my end no matter what, and I'm gonna let this play out how it gotta play out for me. And I'm gonna make sure that once I disconnect, like I disconnect like completely, and this is my disconnection. Like, you take care. I hope you get therapy, and I hope you realize that, like, you are awesome, because you can't love nobody into loving themselves, and I ain't really taking on that task. Like, if you got low self-esteem and if you can't honor yourself, if you can't stand up for yourself, if you can't do anything for yourself, like, yeah, I can't really, that wasn't my job to do it. And like, yeah, whatever everything else is, like, let it go. And I dropped it. And it was a couple of times where I heard information about him that just didn't resonate with me, because I'm like, well, however he treat other women, like, to some extent, like, that wasn't my experience, and it has nothing to say do with any other woman. It just was like, yeah, I can't never imagine him putting his hands on me. That wasn't anything that I lived in. Like, I don't attract men that put their hands on me either. And that's not to say that that's the thing. Like, you ain't got to put your fucking hands on me. That's it. I don't know what it is. I always have said that, like, certain energies ain't supposed to be together. Like, if that's the explosive that you get, then, like, you probably need to part ways, right? Like, you probably don't need to be together. So when I was used to hear stuff about, like, um he was in domestic violence situations, I would be like, well, I don't know. Like, the person that I'm hearing about in other relationships, I didn't experience them. So maybe, and then, somebody would be like, well, maybe that's why I only lasted a short time with y'all, because, like, who he was gonna have to come out one way or another. And I used to be like, I guess, but that wasn't who he was completely with me. Like, I feel like he was completely who he was with me, and, like, that wasn't nothing that came out. So I don't really know how to yeah. And I kind of stayed out his business. Like, we ain't together. And at some point, like, even like at some point, me and his mom held a very close relationship for a while, as she went through her divorce and life happened with her and all of this stuff. Like, I spent some time with his mom. I would be kicking it with his mom and, like, his aunt. I spent a couple of dates with, like, her and her crew, which consisted of, like, his aunt and other people. Like, I ain't never really, I mean, like, those was they people. So I didn't really hold on to them. I don't really hold on to people. Try to, but my relationships were my relationships. Like, I don't have to stop talking to your mom because I'm not talking to you or no more. Like, and, like, you ain't even in town. Like, well, no, he had left. I think he was gone. Like, the first time, I don't think he had moved. But whatever he was saying in my lucid dreaming, like, I don't remember the whole thing. I had actually forgot that it happened. But it was like he was getting on the plane while we were having, it was a private plane for one of the sports teams, while we were having, like, that conversation. And then, like, I know that he ended up moving. Well, he wasn't living in the house with his mom. And then, like, they had all moved, I think. I don't remember. And then he ended up moving out the state. And then at some point, like, he was just like, I forgot he had existed. Like, even though I was cool with his sister and whatever, I kept my relationship with his sister, and, like, his sister became part of my family. It was like, that's my little sister. And then when she got married and when she had her kids, like, I was her biggest supporter and I was her biggest, like, cheerleader, one of them. And, like, we talked all the time, and it would be moments where, like, I forgot it was her, and I wasn't even trying to be funny. Like, no, I separate my shit. Like, I don't have to be bothered. Like, I don't have to be connected with him ever again. Like, I don't have to. It wasn't no reason. Like, he lived somewhere and I live somewhere different. And even when she had an event early on, because she doesn't live in Cleveland either anymore. And so, like, when she had the event in town early on, and she was trying to decide, like, she had invited me, and then, like, she had uninvited me because he was there. He was coming with his girlfriend or whatever, and or maybe he was coming, and she didn't want it to be awkward. Like, she wanted to make sure that, like, he was comfortable. And I was like, all right, like, whatever, I get it. Um, and I think like her and her husband had a thing where she told me like her husband was like, "Don't you ever do that again." Like he a grown man. He whatever decisions he made, like he can deal with it. Like if she a part of our life, if you gonna bring her a part of our life and bring her in our life, like she a part of our life. Like you don't have to dictate who get to be somewhere or who ain't. Like if he can't be man enough to handle whatever he put down, I'm paraphrasing some stuff, but like based off of whatever, like if he can't handle whatever he put down, then like that's that. But like as a friend, I ain't really agree with that or whatever. She told me that they conversation was, and I was kind of like, I just listened because it wasn't a big deal with me. Like they still came and saw me, and it was cool anyway. Like I can be selfish with my time. Like I ain't really gotta spend a bunch of time with y'all with everybody else anyway. Like so I haven't seen him since I broke up with him. Like technically, I guess he had broke up with me and moved on by ghosting me or ghosting our relationship or whatever he was doing that I didn't understand. So when I released him, that was that for me. Like I released all of that energy and true to when I release somebody's true energy, like within no time, like they are no longer a part of my life energy frequency ever. Like it was a memory and it can be a mention, and that's probably about it. And I don't have to hold no animosity, but the way that like you hurt me unnecessarily, like what I'm holding on to, what I'm no, like nah, I'm gonna hold myself in higher regard to that. So even when I talk to his sister, like you don't really come up in conversation except randomly if I ask her about like her brothers or like I'll ask about them each one, but not even I don't even do that like for real. Well, I haven't talked to her. I ain't talked to nobody. I dropped everybody. Like I'm just like, and to be quite honest, I do feel like she was one of the ones that was really holding me um honoring our relationship and holding me sacredly. And our relationship and our sister dynamic was like really special to me. And like I feel like she was very integral in my life. So she like one of the last ones that I dropped my connection with. And it probably was gonna happen, and when it was mostly because like her mom must have seen like one of my older videos when I was under the most of my attack, and like so much stuff was coming out, or my psychic break, like hi. Um. So what? Hi, Tammy. Well, Kylie, right? Um. So his sister was like actually really really there for me for a big part of like as I was transitioning and trying to figure stuff out. Like I was still connecting with her and like talking to her kids. Like when I say like her kids were my niece and nephew, that's what it was. And talking to them all the time and everything. And then like his mom had called me, and whatever she was pushing out toward me, I was kind of like, hey, like not right now. And I hung up on her. And then I think I sent her a text and I told her like whatever in the text, like that's not a good time. Like I don't, that's not helpful. That's not helpful. Like it was so many people that didn't give a fuck what I was going through for real. They was just kind of like, it felt like whenever they called, it was like, you can't do that, or you like, no, thank you. Like, no, thank you. You don't get, no, I'm not doing that right now. Like whatever I got that got to come out is gonna come out. Like I've held in so much stuff all the time trying to be honorable for somebody else, even if it, in myself, like I'm always still keeping me in high regard as far as I can. And sometimes it'd be like, you know what? I don't have to say that. Well, thank you. Like, I don't have to say that right now. Like, is it really appropriate? Not really appropriate, but like, do I really need to? Because the way that I want to say it might really be detrimental to you right now, how I got to say it. And so, like, a lot of times I hold back. And then it ain't really a space or a time to go back and be like, oh, well, this, you know. So I have to, so at this point in my life, like whatever was coming up. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Um so then like she called, like his sister called, and I knew she was gonna, I saw it happen. I saw everything play out right before it, like before it happened. So like I knew thank you, Marcus. I knew somehow like I had a vision that like whatever was about to happen with her mom, like I don't think I knew that her mom was, I don't even remember if I knew her mom was going to call me. And as everything was happening, I saw everything that was going to happen. I was like, okay, but I had already seen it. Like I have like a lot of, I think it's called precognition sometimes, or vision, or psychic, things like psychic, whatever words that we want to use now, clairs, psychic, I don't really know. Um because just now, like, you're supposed to describe everything, right? Like, so I don't explain and be able to describe. So I already knew what was happening. And then like when it happened, when his mom did call me and whatever she said, and I sent that message, I knew his sister was gonna respond in defense of her mom. I just didn't know like how it was going to be. So when she messaged me like about not being disrespectful to her mom, I shot back whatever I shot back too. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that either. Like, if you know me, like, you know what? I'm tired of people acting like they don't know who I am at this point in time of my life. Like, and if you don't, you don't. But don't nobody get the like, none of y'all holding me as close as I need right now. Like, none of y'all holding me in the way that whatever I said, like in the text message that I shot back, because I was pissed. I'm already annoyed. Like, I don't really have to hold nobody else's shit at this time. Like, I always do it. Like, that's just always, no matter too often, like all my life for so long. Have a good rest of your day, Kylie. Am I pronouncing it right? So when she sent when she sent that when she sent that and I responded back and all of that, but I was already at a place with whatever is coming out of me, it's just gonna have to come out, and people can either understand it, like, I mean, you don't have to. Like, I do my videos, and if you ain't nobody watching for real anyway, and if you are, then you are. If you aren't, like, um and I was no longer allowing anybody to project their stuff on me. Like, I was really in a space over this last, when did everything really start hitting me? Because I had like a couple psychic attacks. Like, oh, I had some very horrible experiences, like up top. Not to even touch on some of the stuff that I was going through, like in my, bye Marcus, not even to touch on some of the stuff that I was going through, and like my astral traveling and my lucid dreaming states and things like that, right? So at this point, when I finally like cracked, when I finally cracked and just like let myself break for the first time in like really my life, off of everything that I had been holding on to, I was at a space where I don't care about nobody else's feelings at this point. Like, for once, it's going to be me. For once, it's going to be me holding me. And even at that point, it wasn't at a, I'm getting you back. It was whatever is coming out, based on whatever is coming out is coming out. And the fact that in the beginning of like the spiritual attack and all of like my psychic break and all of like, oh my gosh, when my head first split open, when the telepathy first came through, and it was so many voices and images and like past things and like conversations and arguments and stuff happening in my mind, like energetically, like all the spirits, all the people that was coming through talking. um and like I said, my ex was in there, like And I'm like, is somebody trying to say that like he want me back? That's a no. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, no, no, no. And then it was like, um, it was too much happening. Like, I ain't really understand. I was like, because at one point I was like, I feel like somebody tapped in and they trying to tell me a story at one point about like how we met and how like I feel like somebody trying to tell me something, talk to me. And it wasn't really, I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold the vision. I couldn't hold all of the everything that it was so much happening. Like it was so many conversations because if you're new to my channel, I always tell people that like I saw spirits or ghosts or whatever you want to call them. I just say spirits until I was over 9 years old, and then I requested that they not come to me up top because it was I requested that they not come up to me like in that way anymore. And then like later on I would say like you can come to me in dreams and things like that. And my dream state has always been active. I had very strong telepathic gifts as a kid, like as a child, as young. That I know that I recall being able to hold like so many telepathic connections at once. And like tap into like so many energy like I can't really, I don't know. So and I got the word like motion picture. Like that's what the original motion picture was. Like we didn't need this means of translation as far as like TVs and stuff came about because like lesser beings could no longer access the energetic frequencies and gifts to be able to project or like we used to with storytelling abilities and things like that. And I even because it's not just like I've been connecting with like shamanic energies and spirits. How you doing today? I'm all right. During this entire transition, well, earlier, and various energies, like various high level soul energies, revering energies, supernatural energies. Like this whole time I've been connecting, well, some things have calmed down, but I was connecting with them like activity. It was just like once the floodgates were open, and essentially it was kind of having so many years of not being able to have access to my gifts to that extent, like to that expanse, like having to be in a position to now where all of them are coming back like so aggressively for whatever reason at one moment, trying to sort everything out and still kind of like be honoring, like holding myself and my environment and everything together. It was kind of difficult. And like some of the shamans that I would hear, like, and the visions that I would have that they would show me would show like us being together in various clans and various tribes and various cultures and various times and realms, in spaces where we were actually like throwing like projections at each other and stories, and I would see like our children running around. Like that's like some of the stuff that y'all see. The best way that they can transfer it onto onto TV or into TV or on certain genres or whatever, like that was a reality, but different for us. And then we had to create TVs because our environments were infected, and so we came tumbling down from certain realms and dimensions and frequencies that we were living in, and we didn't have the same access. So that's that. And when I was connected with him, I would feel like I was tapping into that unbeknownst to me, really. So when I've never really had conversations with people like after I've had a lucid dreaming moment or astro travel moment or anything where so I never knew if if they were consciously aware of what was happening. Because when I come out of certain states, I'm not consciously aware all the time. I mean, I am, but they'll start fading fast, like while I'm up here. And sometimes they'll linger and linger, and then when they kind of dissolve or whatever, or when I lose it, I'll lose it. And then at certain times, like now today, I'm like, damn, I was talking to him when he was boarding the plane and like all of that stuff after his ground. Like I forgot all about that. And it was like it felt like it was this, like, explaining time is different in those states. So I'll try not to even try to explain it, because I don't know how. Like I said, I'm still trying to put a grasp on my own stuff, because I was without full access to so many of my childhood gifts for so long, and a lot of it had to do with like outside interference and stuff as well. So I don't know why I needed to share that piece of information. I'm just kind of like going off of internal guidance that when I'm guided to share something, just to share it, because assuming either people was already tapped into certain gifts, or certain gifts are coming in, because I saw a lot of the babies and the kids and the youth that I've been connected to coming in, like fighting for me and everything. And I'm like, I don't know if that was in as far as if people's families were in certain positions or whatever. Like I'm not sure if that was this is what could have been promised to you, and then instead this is what you receive, or this is what it is, and this is what it. Hi Emma, how you doing? Good afternoon to you as well. How am I doing today? I could be better, and guess I'm all right. There ain't no point in complaining about it. How are you? So I'm not. So I just like share stuff, because if I can kind of be able to teach somebody something, if somebody come across one of my videos and I'm speaking and it's helpful to them, then great, by all means. I'm still trying to figure some stuff out. So like I was saying, I don't know if it was as far as like I can, if it was as far as a promise, like this is what was supposed to happen, or this is what's supposed to be, or this is what it is, or I'm not sure what was happening. But when I say like all the babies that I hold close to my heart, they was in there, they was in there running amok. They was in there defending me and like boss babies all the way around. It was really interesting. I don't have any children on this side of the realm, of this side of the universe. My daughter was stillborn. and she would have actually just turned 20. Wow, she would have actually just turned 20 this year. So I'm not familiar with how certain connections go, and I don't have like certain experiences about certain things. And even with all the children that I'm connected to, they still have their own parents and families, and so I don't really have access the way that I would, if I the way that I would like or not. Because if it's a baby that I want to see, or I want to hug on, or I want to spend time with, if I don't have access, if I'm not able to get to them, then like if they parent like not on it or whatever, like if they want to keep them from me, or if they just busy or whatever, then I don't have access until I have access. And that's just the reality of that's just the reality of life, like when you're dealing with other people's kids, period. But in the beginning there was a lot of the babies. Oh, them babies was so extremely gifted, running around. And then like, so the kids that were in there, like, and it was all of it, was the babies. It was like some of my teens, some of my youth, that I've come across. And when I say like so much energy of so many people, like so many families, it felt like so many families were being judged, as far as like their interactions with me, how they had held me or whatever, or honored me, or I don't even, it felt weird saying honor, but like, you have a soul, you have this soul in your life. What are you doing, like, to express anything to her? Are you listening? Are you like, what? It was like so much happening, and essentially I was the vessel that was everything was being used for. And also, um so yeah, so I just say, if people need to, if I come across this from anybody, I mean, if anybody need a video, I guess I just go with what's guided. And that's what's really interesting, because I actually was thinking about talking about something else before I had went outside and came back in and did that, everything that I've talked about. But I was thinking about that. I'm about to sidebar into something else real quick. When I was in school, when I was in college, I was at the school that I was at, Indiana Westland. One of my classes, we had to do like a religion class. Well, religion, I mean, as a part of everything. But this particular class that we had to go for like one of our papers, we had to go to a church. Like, I think, like, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially we had to find like a church or denomination or some kind of spiritual practice to attend a couple times or whatever, and write about it. So I've been on my Native American, like indigenous people, I've been connected to them realms for a very long time. Even like in my dream state and up top, it doesn't stop. Like, I know that in my lucid dreaming, in my astro traveling state or whatever, and everything, that I have worked on reservations. I have helped investigate certain crimes and things at reservations, on reservations. I actually think I actually even I might have even done a paper based on like a lot of the crime and stuff that happens on like reservations, and was doing a lot of the comparison threads, as far as like indigenous, like the what's happening on the reservations, and like how it mirrors what's happening to black women in the communities, in our communities. And there's a lot of things that I won't really mention on that, but it kind of was feeling like a, okay, I'll hold off on that. So like, I had to, in class, I was doing like this So we had to go. So I was like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to find like some. I'm like, cause I don't go to church, I don't do none of that. But I can for spiritual practice, like let me find like some stuff with like indigenous, like native, like how they practice. Like I would love to sit in on like some native practices, especially because like so many things you can find online now. This is probably in like 2019, 2020. So I went online and I was looking for like um native practice. And do you have to know how heartbroken, how angry, how disgusted, how disappointing, how pissed, how betrayed I felt when all anything that was representative of native and indigenous anything, especially when you come talk about spiritual practices or like anything was so fucking whitewashed, like so many white faces, white, motherfucking white, pale, white, the freaking misappropriation, oh my gosh, the cultural appropriation across the board, that shit pissed me off so bad no matter what. And then just being who I am as a researcher, all the various native tribes and organizations that I was started researching just based off of that, how they just had so many white, like you mean to tell me that you trying to tell me that this is a, no, it's not. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like, they have gone through really raping and pillaging and destroying and lying and freaking white black facing, like, oh, across this goddamn land to no extent. Like, and you already know it. It's already known. It's already known. And then when you start looking at it on like certain levels that's deeper as far as like what it could actually mean to the histories and like everything that we read and that you already know about, like how papers and documents and histories and everything was actually appropriated and stolen, and sometimes it had to do with actual murder, was all murder, like it's all murder, it's all theft, it's all killing, it's all destruction. And when you start realizing like, oh, y'all really are assuming other people's identities, like for real, like, and I've been acutely aware for many years on how they use visuals and entertainment and like everything to like to further their agendas way easier. I remember saying like, I don't know how long, like, oh, I remember saying like, having a thought once upon a time that, oh, so if we was to just be up out of here, then if anybody else came, they would just think that like certain stuff was them. Like the way that they started moving when it come to like Egyptian culture and anything, like they had to put their face on everything. They had to try to like market, like they had to do, oh my gosh, like oh my gosh, it's like you have no history, you have no real rights to anything, and you try to take it all like it doesn't belong to you. You're a freaking liar. You are a liar. So when I'm going to a quote unquote Ivy League school with a primarily white Christian student and faculty body, and I get a assignment to drop in on a spiritual or religious practice class, and I go and I look and like everything is like a reflection of everything that's happening at this school. Like, can you imagine when you have like, oh the mourning, the heartbreaking that my soul took to be so excited to be able to tap into something that I know inherently is mine and my culture and belongs to me, that I've been stripped away from, and still not be able to touch into it because them niggas is all in it from the very beginning. Like, how you gonna be having a native organization or anything representing indigenous, native, tribal, clan, anything, and it be a fucking bunch of old ass white men or young white men or white women or white across the damn board though, like in anything when it comes to anything that's sacred. And I'm like, even if they came here by accident, we tried to make a way from there's no consideration. There's no honor. There's no integrity. There's no. It's just like gobble, gobble, gobble. Like, I gotta take the history. Like, instead of a cookie monster, it's a freaking identity monster. Like, the cookies are freaking documents and paperwork and histories and bodies, and to know that, like, already be tapped in how so many identities were massively taken, and then to be a part of it. Like, nigga, I had to change my name when I got adopted. Like, how many kids are y'all how many kids are y'all putting in the system and then taking their identity under shit, and then, like, or how many of us y'all putting in so many detrimental situations so that, oh my gosh, this country, ugh, like, the people, like, there's nothing sacred, nothing that has like the true sacredness, like, and then they want to give us shit, like, and then y'all want to give us, like, what, pieces to tell us that we supposed to be satisfied with that? Hell no. Like, I'm supposed to be satisfied that, like, my boys can go into the NBA and dominate that shit, or go in entertainment and dominate it, or whatever, or my women too. Like, not just the boys, like the women, like, that we can go in, like, yeah, we can do it. It belongs to us. Anyway, certain things, I'm like, but that's not the bait. Like, don't be trying to shift me over into a damn corner. Like, give me a corner piece, a corner office, a corner part of heritage and history when all this shit belongs to me. How dare you, and how dare y'all just let them do it? Like, how dare us and decide that, like, oh, we can hold on to this. The fucking disrespect that y'all show us completely, period. Like, I just be like, what kind of fucking cowards? Like, what are we doing? And then it's not just limited to here. It's limited to wherever they damn touch their feet at. Like, and we supposed to hold so much homage and honor and like, why? Why? Like, we always got to be boxed in. We always, and we do it, like, so fucking proud. You can be proud of whatever you proud of, but what happens when I want to have the pride in my stuff? What happens when I want to be able to tap into what calls to my soul, and to what calls to my spirit, and what calls to what's organically, naturally, and authentically mine? Then what? Like, do I get the access to be able to just go? Like, I got introduced to the word shaman. Immediately, my spirit was so damn excited and started its astral search and of a shaman. And I started, like, I was already doing whatever I do in the astral. And I started touching on so many native lands and anything that I was already doing. Naturally, when I got introduced to a word, that freaking opened up, like, so much more to me. And then when I came across, like, the ability to be able to, because I was already looking at going to volunteer on a reservation. Like, that was something that I wanted to do for a long time. Like, okay, I can go on a native reservation and volunteer. And I was researching like the reservations and like how I can get in. Like, would it be teaching? Would it be like trying to figure out like what they needed help with? And of course, like all the research that was going into the different issues and being able to connect them to different things that was happening in the hood themselves, like the hood. So I'm like, now I'm like, oh, technically we supposed to be the reservation, and those are like the, I don't even like, I can't even figure it out no more. And I can like, it's so much that's opening up, and it's just like after so many years of everything being taboo because it's supposed to be respective of other people. But I'm like, technically we've been put on the reservation, and you call it the projects or you call it the inner city or whatever that gets siphoned out of everything, and then out of everything. So, but when I was looking at volunteering on like the reservations, like my spirit was already doing whatever. And then when I got introduced to the word shaman, that kind of just like joined the damn conversation, right? And was taking me on a certain journey. And then I was already being guided that like I needed to go to like certain lands, including like Mexico and New Mexico and things like that. And it feel like every time that like something is like pressed on my spirit that I need to go somewhere, like somebody else already that I'm connected to somehow already always pop up there before I can get a chance to get there. Like um crazy. So um because during this time was also probably during the times where I was like in the schools working with the autistic kids. It overlapped, and one of the teachers that was at one of the schools before me ended up in New Mexico with her family, and I was like happy for them, like that's cool. And then it felt like actually I was there sometimes with them, and I'm like I be getting pulled into people's stuff that I don't even be knowing for real. Like sometimes it be feeling so disruptive. Like why am I here? Like why am I here? And at this point in time in my life, I'm like, you know what? I've helped a lot of families. I've been connected to a lot of families in the astral realms, and I don't be feeling like I have shit to show for it. Like, and I'm just like, how in the hell do I get my money? How in the hell do I get like what's owed to me? Where so many different stuff pulling on my damn energy, and I'm in damn people's family trees and family lines and all this stuff that feels so right now, like during this time of my life. It's just anywho. Um so like when it came down to shaman and trying to find a shaman, and then I came across one. I even went and got my tarot read by a woman that had studied under shamans like on indigenous lands forever, right? Like I've looked at all the accreditations and certifications and stuff that she received, and I went through everything. So I went through her for a reading, and it was cool. And also like that's something that I didn't have access to. So it just pissed me off that like even when I go into like certain suburbs that's like mostly them, like how they have so much access to stuff that's not that, like y'all just pillage everything and have access to so much information that we be locked out of, and niggas want to act like we friends and they care and like we all kumbaya. No, the fuck we are not. No, we are not. No, we are not. And then occasionally when I do come across like a pale person that I'm connecting with, it be like, okay, like that's cool. And like this time I just got so much animosity, like so much hatred, so much anger, so much so much, because wherever anybody else is going, that's not where the fuck I want to go. It's not where I want to go, and somehow I feel like I got locked out of like where I'm supposed to be, what's naturally mine. What's naturally fucking mine that I'm supposed to have access to every part of my vision. Every part of everything that I'm supposed to do is tapped into my natural damn inheritance and heritage. Like, all the shit that y'all have upended, everything that y'all have stolen, everything that's been pillaged, like, god damn. And I be feeling it, and I'm like, y'all don't feel it? Like, y'all can't see it? Y'all don't understand? Y'all can just la 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 my ass around, huh? La 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 la. I can sleep with their ass, I can procreate with them, and oh, I find them to be this. Like, oh, I want to go over here and protect them. I want, like, for so many, not even just the pale ones, y'all too. Like, uh, uh. And I'm like, am I the only one that's disgusted? Because before, like, I tried not to be disgusted. I just decided to separate. Like, I didn't really allow myself to tap into this aspect, because this is a privilege. Like, this part is a privilege to me. For all these other years, I just kind of just been like peeping game and trying to stay out the way and just being like, you don't have to be a part of my life. Like, I'm just gonna focus on me and mine and me and me and me and me and like all this, and just like disentangling out of they web of fucking threads of anything that have to be tied to my destiny for real, right? Like, y'all don't really ever want to have another lifetime where y'all exist in my life. Like, for what? Especially in such a big amount of numbers and stuff. Like, it's, yeah, no thank you. No thank you. You can't be trusted. You can't be trusted. You steal people, you steal land, you steal nature, you steal all the time. You steal energy, you steal people breaths, you steal our babies, you steal our souls. Hi Marcus, you steal our spirits. Like, you steal our resources, you steal our practices, you steal our identities. Like, you fucking steal. That's what you do. You thieving asses. Like, y'all steal. Every time you open your mouth, you stealing. You stealing. Like, it's a part of your damn, it's a part of you. You fucking thief. Like, so for the most part, I'm like, no, I've been like, yeah, I'm just gonna build a world where they don't really exist at all for me. And I made it part of my damn mission statement that, like, only the ones that are deemed to be valuable and honorable enough through my spiritual team and the gods that's all connected to me and myself, to need to have access inside, like, period. Because if they gonna come through anything connected to me, it's gonna have to be trustworthy. Like, cause I don't got nothing on my team that's about to have me failing out here, and we building something strong. So, like, yeah, they can come through y'all, but not through me. Like, they can come through y'all, and I'll know based off of when they get here, whatever that is, that they can be allowed in. I don't want no bunch of that in my space. Like, for what? You steal. You don't have no integrity. You don't have no honor. You don't have no nothing. Everything that you partake in is to steal from me, individually and collectively. And when I mean me, and I mean anybody in my damn energetic frequency that looks like me. Yeah, period. Like me. Y'all steal and you destroy and you kill. All that shit that y'all say, that's y'all. Y'all say, that's why the devil or Satan wasn't even a concept until more recent times. Like, that shit didn't exist. Yeah, y'all made him up. It's you. Stealing ass. Came to lie, steal, cheat. What is it? Lie, steal, destroy, cheat. That's all y'all. That's all. This. And simply because you born into that program, Like, you ain't did nothing to change it. You ain't did nothing, like, yeah, and I don't expect you to, because it's your comfort. Like, you want to be able to walk proud and saying, like, oh, I'm indigenous, I'm a this. No, you're not. You a thief. You are a thief. You are a thief and a liar. And you a rapist, because that's raping. You're pillaging, like, all of it. So when I create, it's not to have anything to do. Yeah, hypocrites. Like, so it's not to have nothing to do with y'all. And it's to have everything that belongs to me. Like, if I could garnish enough power to fucking blow this bitch up and blow up everything that is under all of that with it, I would. I absolutely would. I ain't even about to lie, because on this side of the fence, so before, for most of my life, as far as like when I really start understanding the system and seeing the system and having to interact with the system on ways that a lot of y'all are privileged not to, like being pulled over because I'm black and being checked because I'm black and like all that shit, like that, all that, like all of it, anything coming from the hood, like that I have had to be connected to, or that has had to touch me and be connected to me, like, hey, like, if it was good enough for me and mine, it's good enough for you and yours. So if I can go ahead and like return all that shit to sender on the mass scale, then I definitely absolutely would, and wouldn't have no qualms about it. Y'all don't have no qualms about it when it's me and mine. Y'all want to be doing the bare minimum, like, instead of just saying like, just fucking bomb up the whole system that you have access to, that you don't have the right to have access to. I don't give a fuck. Like, when people talk to me about when the conversation about Elon and Trump and all of them, the fact that they asses is even in anybody's conversation is like, what the fuck for? Like, who are they? What did they do? Oh, they inherited stolen wealth and they proud of that shit. And like, okay, you inherited like bloody hands. You don't give a fuck. Like, you just like, oh, let me bloody them some more. You inherited like what? Ego. Like, you inherited some shit that wasn't yours. You inherited the raping, the pillaging, the death, the destruction, the murder, all of it. And because it comes with what you deem to be wealthy, like, you proud of it. I don't give a fuck about Elon Musk having a South African title. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, why? Y'all go steal some shit and then you can put it on your birth certificate. You can put it on your birth certificate. So now you decide, like, now you and all your family and all your kids now, and the fact that like we allow that shit to happen, get out of here. I ain't building nothing that allow that shit to happen. No, get out of here. Get out of here. So I guess that's why my ass is right here. Like, because now that I'm on the other side of like, oh, they just don't exist in my world. Like, first let me wipe them clean and figure out what my world would look like, what I would be doing based off of just me and let me see what I need to do in this world to like make it better, since I'm touching all this trifling shit down here from both sides. Like, both sides. Because y'all niggas nasty too. Because y'all let their energies touch y'all. Like, whatever. Call it either however you want. Because we freaking decide to live in it. To participate in it. So then when I get to this side where everything in me is just like full of fire and full of anger. And I'm like, oh, now that I'm over here, let me go ahead and examine this part of it. Oh, this is all the hate and the anger and all of the stuff that like I couldn't really have the time to express and focus on before, because I was trying to figure out more so the solutions. Like, yeah, I see a problem and I'm just gonna come up with all the solutions that I can, the best that I can. Ain't no point of like having all of this without having like the solution. I know I ain't about to share it out here. Shit, I did that already in some of the other videos of what I wanted to do, and just like copy and paste. The same shit they do. Because how do you know what it is to be in South Africa, essentially at a mass memorial, and you just like hitting the time back? Like, I'm fucking time traveling. I'm like, nigga, this was one of these are our stories. These are our stories over in my land. Like, I'm hearing the same mother's pain. I'm hearing the same damn shit that these niggas doing to murder us, to steal from us. Like, the same exact thing, even if it's a little different. Over here, like, and I'm at a memorial, and I'm like, I have walked this already. Like, I've walked this mother's pain. I've walked this father's pain. I've walked this child's death. I've walked this story. I've walked it. I've been in it. And it's a reason why I try not to go to memorials because, yeah, like, why do I don't need to feel that pain. I already have it. So when I go over here, I'm like, okay, them niggas did a copy paste. And then when I'm in this land, I'm like, okay, they did a copy paste. Like, and I'm like, so there's nowhere that they go where they don't have to like come in being murderers and being thieves and being rapists and like pillaging people and like stealing identities. Like nowhere. And all that did was like solidify what I said years ago when I said that yeah, they move like a species that have no identity. They move like a species that has limited time. They move like a species that like need to dominate something and take over something in order to live, in order to thrive. Like a parasite. That would be a parasite, right? Like parasites need a host. So yeah, like they the biggest fucking blood suckers, literally the most blood suckers, energetic suckers, like drain, like, oh my gosh, like it's them. And I seen it forever ago, and I'm just like, how do you stop them? Just put their asses down. Just put them down. I don't care if they smiling in your damn face. Like, yeah, so what? Like, so fucking what? So what? So what? Why? Why do you get to like, why do you get to live? Why do you get to like be put in a place of honor or esteem? And I'm not even necessarily talking about like all of, cause some of them is like whatever, but like all of my babies that have been created in that dynamic, because they be having to go through their own stuff. So like, I'm not necessarily about to throw you away because you are a quote unquote mixed breed, especially if your ass identifying as black. Like if that's how I feel. Like if you identifying as one of mine and you trying to like, and you over here, then you over here. That's just how I look at it. Just how I look at it. Like, period, point blank. Because you automatically are gonna have to go through your own wars and your own dynamics and your own stuff. Essentially, just because two enemies decide to come together, like two enemy bloodline. I don't care what you feeling like. How the hell you gonna try to make love in that type of, with that type of history attached to it? Yeah, not for me. Like, I don't care if you didn't do it yourself. Like, what y'all doing as a whole or a collective to change anything? Nothing. Like, you like, oh, if we just like all combined, then we can erase it. No, you don't get to fucking try to wipe me out like that. Like, bitch, I'm here. I'm motherfucking here. Like, I ain't go nowhere. I don't want to participate in that history. Like, and then it came from like, oh, okay, so like, now we'll just put them all on TV. You know how pissed off I was when all of a sudden, like, everything just had to be representative of everything else. Like, we can find representation for LGBT. We can find representation for, like, mixed biracial. We can find representation for anything except for the motherfucking representation of the original goddamn native indigenous people. Like, come on. Like, are you kidding me? And then you want to give me an Elon Musk and tell me he represents South Africa? No, the fuck you don't. No point, except for the thievery and the raping and the pillaging and the stolen identities. Like, yeah, you were walking, talking that. Trump, you were walking, talking that shit on this side of the way. So I guess the same thing that I seen when I went over to South African as a black native of this American lands and saw what they was doing over there, when I'm looking at who y'all putting on the post, I'm like, oh, Trump and Elon. Yeah, so that was the representation of the destruction that I saw there, the destruction that I saw there. No matter what anybody say about Bill Gates, you can't negate all the damn evidence of everything that him and his foundation, destruction that they went across and rampaged across Africa. But like, most people don't read that stuff, and when they do, it's like, oh no, that didn't happen. Get the fuck out of here. And not just over in the other land, copy, paste. They do the same shit here to us. Like, and we just robots at this point. Like, we don't let them indoctrinate us somehow. And I'm like, I know I got the vision. Like, my ancestors came to me when they was talking to me already, and they showed me the vision already, and they said that our code of ethics and the way that we maneuvered and did freely was used against us when we came upon an unknown species. Period. Like, they wasn't nothing that we expected to see. And in some ways, because there are multiple stories and parts of the story that I've gotten, but in some ways, the hospitality, I guess, that was just a natural part of culture, like a natural part of what we were, what we did, and trying to like help them assimilate into a new realm, a new dimension, a new home. Them niggas used against us because they don't know honor, it's no integrity, it's no nothing. That's how I look at it. Like, and it's bred in you until you can do the right thing. If you can't never actually take the damn hit and disrupt all your shit and turn the tables over correctly, then you honoring that. Like, you saying that's your history, you saying that's your identity, and you standing in that shit proudly. Like, yes, we are the destroyers. Yeah, we are the thieves. We are the rapists. We are the murderers. Like, and this is what I have to show for it. And like, even in that, I'm like, so in order for y'all to be able to sustain anything, you had to cut down all my trees to make paper money across the board? Like, because you didn't understand how energy worked. You didn't understand what it meant to like just barter or to just be able to live off the ground. You didn't know how to live off the land. You didn't know how to naturally live amongst each other. Like, why did you need certain of those things to be able to do anything, like to maneuver? Like, no, it's like y'all so illiterate and so dumbed down and so, let's just say infantile. I guess that can be nicer. I don't have to be all mean the whole time. Like, so let's just say infantile. Y'all so infantile that you don't know how to like be. You need what is it? What do y'all need? Like, I need this to show me how much I have. Okay, so how much do you need to accumulate? You need so you need $1 trillion. What you doing with it? I'm gonna be more destructive and pretend like I'm fixing some shit. Oh, okay. You need more buildings and more warehouses. Well, why do you need that? Because I gotta build some more shit to be destructive of more people and more things. I gotta take. I gotta consume. Like, oh, no wonder your fucking planet is destroyed. Like, no wonder y'all ended up here on this planet. Because you ain't been here that long. It ain't no evidence. It ain't no evidence that y'all was here long at all. And I know that y'all go through all these different, y'all had to open up all this stuff. Y'all go play with all this stuff, all these bodies, all this stuff to try to figure out how to take y'all, like, to make sure that y'all stay a part of this earth's history for real. But, like, the ground is the ground, and she ain't gonna lie too much for real. Like, it gotta come out. And, like, based on y'all science and stuff, y'all ain't been around that long. So the theory that I came up with forever ago, and I actually saw it, I think in a dream or something, was like, you had a war. You destroyed your own planet. Like, you destroyed your planet. It kicked your ass out because you destroyed it. And I don't think it was the first planet that you had destroyed. Like, clearly, because you on this planet and you destroying it. So, like, that's just your DNA. That's just, like, who you are as an entity, as a being. And you can't figure it out. So, I'm like, who the hell, like, why then can't they go no, like, why can't you go nowhere and not be destructive? Why can't you go nowhere and, like, not be, I don't know, and, like, blend in with the environment? Maybe were you a bad science experience gone wrong? Like, Cause y'all like to experiment with a lot of shit. So one of y'all was in the lab. Cause this, I'm just gonna take what y'all do here. All y'all. The Chinese too. Yeah, the lighter, the pale ones. Y'all came in and just like however y'all was jumping bodies and changing faces and energetically swapping before we knew what was going on. Like, all right, so whatever, the pale ones. However it is, like, even there, the way that y'all like handle, it's like y'all have a natural hate or dissension with like native darker skin, and the darker it is, like the bigger your issue is with it. And I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I just really be mad when I see mine with y'all. Like, why y'all over there? Why y'all procreating with them? Why y'all doing any of that? Like, y'all think they deserve that? Y'all think that like they deserve anything from us? Oh, okay. And because so many of y'all apparently do, you know, still running off that, oh, they not all bad, it's all a good person. Like, yeah, well, you come live in the damn ghetto as long as you try. You try to get out of certain situations, and you try to have the heart to truly help your people while you down there, while you living in food deserts, and like, you go ahead and live in all the shit that has been constructed because of like the stories and the histories that they proudly share and boast about. Like, you live in that shit down at the bottom, as bottom as you can, and then you come back and tell me how the fuck we supposed to be okay with like feeling like bygones is bygones. No, the fuck they not. And I guess when you in a space to where you can feel like that, you don't get to talk for all of us. No, I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, you can go and put your dick into some white pussy and be like, oh, I'm gonna create this. Like, if that's what you want to do, all right. Like, on any side of it, like, I'm gonna go get whatever little bit I do have, I'm gonna go put it over here and watch it grow. Like, oh, okay, that's the flex. Yeah, you do that. Like, I'm like, what classes, even if you don't believe all of it for some of it, because I'm like, yeah, that ain't happened to mine, but like, as far as some of those stories, no, because that ain't the kind of stock that I'm coming from. And even if that was what it was, how y'all look at people and be like, okay, so y'all saying y'all did this as a collective, like, yeah, I'm gonna go over here and sleep with your granddaughter and treat her like probably with more care and tenderness and respect than I have any of mine. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hold her gently because she needed more than me. All right, I guess. Or maybe y'all asses is like agents. Maybe y'all agents, and I don't know, because I don't know nobody else's ancestral shit, what they got to deal with, what they got permission to do, what they damn journeys is or anything. So I usually try to stay out of that. Like, yeah, whoever you supposed to go to, whoever you, like, it works the same way. Like, just how I say that my energy is connected for me to do a certain thing and move a certain way, like, and have certain visions and goals based off of the energies and stuff here. Maybe that's your shit too. Like, you supposed to do the same thing for yours. Like, whatever your ancestors, whatever your spiritual team guide you, whatever connections you supposed to make for whatever reasons, that can be it too. Like, I don't really know. Like, I don't really know. And do I really want to share a penis with one? Nah. Not at all. Not at all. And to be completely honest, thinking about like sharing penis with any of mine that has shared penis with any of them is kind of gross. Like, yeah, why? Like, why? That part is gross. And then I've been kind of like, okay, like, no matter what, if anybody had, like, we all have our own lives, especially in our generation, our age, and being connected to and exposed to different things and stuff, like we all have our own, we all have had to have our own journeys, our own walks, our own experiences, our own relationships based off our environments, our histories, what was taught, and everything like that, right? Like whatever cultures, whatever religions, whatever cities, states, tribes. Like I understand that all that is really different for all of us. And so I have a lot of grace and honor and appreciation for that part of it. Like for that part of it. And also as a black woman, like, so there's the part that's like, yeah, we all have had to experience life. We all have our own journeys. We all have been exposed to different things. We all live in the best way that we know how, making the best choices that we make. That's part is like, I can hold that and oh, I can like, all right, that is where I'm like, oh, I can do it. Like, I don't have to hold that against you to a place to where if I'm connecting with you and honor, like if we connecting and we attracted and everything, like I don't have to hold that. That's not a, it is. And like going forward, I ain't interested. I'm not interested in sharing. I ain't interested in sharing that type of intimate space. So if that was something that anybody partook in before I get involved with them, like, no thank you. No thank you. Like, no thank you at all. I don't want to be saving, because as a black woman, I, looking at things from this lens, I see way too many black men. I don't care if it's just a fraction of y'all or whatever. And especially like, yeah, I see way too many black men that have gone over and given them way more gentleness and access and like care and benefits of the doubt and shit than y'all have done like us at certain times when we really needed y'all. And that part I have an issue with. So when I say like at this point in time, I'm like, all the black boys can be bouncing out of those situations like at any point in time. I don't care how it served you at one point. Yeah, I do feel like that. And also understanding that, like, as I said before, like my spiritual team, what I was telling them, like, only the ones that can pass through you can get to me and be a part of my future. It's the same for you. Like, it's the same for everybody across the board. And so, sometimes it's just really hard to navigate these spaces and kind of still be honoring to everybody else's as well. Because for me, when anybody told me that I would have to go get a white man to get anything that I wanted out of this life, I thought that shit was disrespectful. Like, disrespectful as hell. How the hell you gonna tell me that, like, you think all the black men, like, you think that only the white men are quality? You think that, like, only white men? Like, even if I haven't had the complete total experience that I want to have with, like, any of my black men, I'm like, okay, we all live in essentially shared experience on some part, so I can expect from you what I can expect from you, right? Like, I'm gonna always look at mine with way more honor, and hell yeah, I'm gonna always look at mine with way more honor and respect, and like, if I'm gonna bet on any of them, it's gonna be black. So when I used to talk about certain things, about what I wanted in a man, and for somebody like, oh, you had to get a white man, like, who the fuck do y'all think y'all represent? Like, what do y'all see when y'all look in the mirror? When y'all, no, that I don't have to do that. Like, don't you say that nasty shit to me. Like, no. How dare you go tell me to go lay with a man, with a being, with a entity, with my enemy? Like, essentially, I don't care if he ain't my enemy, as long as, like, the story resides that he is an enemy, he is an enemy. And you just like, oh, you gonna have to marry that one. Like, no, mine gonna come in the shade of black. whether it's gonna be black. Like, yeah, yeah. And even if you got some of that in them, which most of us do to some capacity at this point, maybe just further down, like, well, not most of. Well, that's what they say. I don't know. I don't know. Too many of us. Too many of us do. Cause, and I always try to be like really careful with like my interracial relationships, as far as like having acquaintanceships or anybody that I could be friendly with, simply because like I know I hold some strong views, and I don't want to have to I don't want to have to pretend that I don't. Cause I have a very, very, very strong, like, I believe what I believe. I feel how I feel, and it is what it is. Like, do something. If you really feel bad, do something about it. If you really care, like, whatever. And then based off of who you are, I can appreciate like the little bit that you can do. The little bit that you can get. Like, okay, you like, you know what? Whatever I do, I'ma put it here. That's cool, but and so that's cool. And so like when I've come across like white people that I felt was alright, I always try to be honest about like who I am and where I'm at with it, what I feel, and I try to make sure that I let them know that like yeah, I don't really like white people, like, and also I try to deal with everybody on an individual basis. Everybody that come through me, I try to deal with it on an individual basis, like, because I want people to deal with me on an individual basis, and I want you to like so I definitely try to do that, and I try not to, on an individual basis, I try not to be like a bitch to nobody. Like, I try to be respectful pretty much to most people, especially in person. Cause it's I mean, that's humanity.